Okay, so the long-awaited balance changes have just come out for Team Fortress 2, and I have not looked at these. I have not read these. I have not done anything. I just saw that the update came out. Went to take a quick shower, and now I'm here. And this is my raw opinions and just off the bat responses and whatever I can think of. I'm just gonna say. Okay. In the past, we've made blog posts about changes we've already shipped, or stuff we've tossed into a smoldering scrap heap and failed. Failed ideas this time, based on your feedback. That's important. Based on your feedback, which I am reasonably sure they're not going to listen to anyway, but, we tried. We're going to talk about changes. Well, we're still working on them. Okay. Below is a sneak peek at some of the changes coming in the next update. Oh, obviously, the sum is just. I thought that was important. It's not. Along with some commentary. These changes, based on online community discussion emails. Ooh, emails. That's me. They're talking about me when they say emails because I email Valve a lot. Playtime data. That one upsets me for a variety of reasons. Community discussion. I really hope community discussion doesn't mean just Reddit, because Reddit is full of pubbers who don't know what they're talking about, or God forbid the Steam discussions, dear God. Conversations with players of all skill ranges. I wish it wasn't of all, but okay. And playtesting. Okay. Things to keep in mind. Also, bear with me, I am dyslexic, and I've only actually been reading in English for 7 years, so bear with me if I kind of hiccup while I'm trying to read. This is not a complete list of changes. Some ideas and classes are still being worked on. I guess they mean the pyro. Still being worked on, and are not ready for review. Okay. So there are more changes to come. We're going a little deeper on some classes this time, e.g. Scout, which has been... Scout is my favorite class, my favorite DM class, but it had to be nerfed. It's going to have to happen, unfortunately. It was a fun time playing Scout, but oh well. And not as deep in others. Demoman. Okay, Demoman's pretty... Well, it's not simplistic, but I think he's in a good spot right now. This is a work in progress. Items may change prior to the release. Okay, so this is their disclaimer. If everything isn't exactly as we say, that's because we're human beings and we're still working on it. Please continue to send us your feedback, contact. But yeah, as I think of changes, I'm just gonna jot them down in here. I'll probably just edit me writing notes down and spare you that. But here we go. Multiclass. Hold on. Please continue to send us. Yeah, I already read that. Multiclass. Panic attack. This is one of the least used weapons. I wonder why. The main culprit seems to be the Q delayed fire aspect, which fights against the basic concept of a secondary slot. Yes, I've actually said this a lot before, and the problem with the weapon is that it works against itself, because the idea of the panic attack is that you get attacked and you're at low health. Oh, I'm playing, I don't know, engineer, and I get attacked. I'm at low health, and I panic. Oh God! I press my 2 button and I shoot at people, but it doesn't work that way. What happens is you get attacked, you panic, you press your 2 button, and you say, "Hold on a second, I need to load 4 shots." Okay, now I'm gonna shoot you, and then you're dead. So the item doesn't really work as a secondary. You have to use it as a primary. You have to preload your shots, which kind of defeats the purpose of it being a panic weapon. And the whole thing is really confusing, and just use a normal shotgun, essentially. So, I'm happy they recognize that is the problem. Which fights against the concept of a weapon. Yes, of the secondary slot. That's what I said. They can use this soldier, heavy, engineer, pyro. Players generally expect weapons that is similarly that is immediately ready to fire. So basically invalidates the weapon's design. Yeah. Okay. So we're starting over. So it's just they're just reworking it. Okay. Make the weapon immediately usable. Remove the large burst potential, generally hard to balance. Give this weapon a unique space to occupy. So faster switch speed. Hello, reserve shooter. 50% more bullets. This is a net gain. Just glancing. Fires wide shot. Fires a wide fix shot pellet, regardless of server settings. Huh. That's fascinating, actually. That's interesting. Shot pattern shows with shot pattern grows with successive shots, e.g., while holding down the attack button, but resets if you stop firing. So if you, this is interesting. So if you tap it, your shots won't get bigger, but if you hold it down, they do. This is an interesting design. I'm gonna have to pub with it first to kind of like get a feel for it, but it actually does seem usable now. That's fascinating. Spy, ambassador. The ambassador. Players that are headshot from across the map are expecting to see snipers in their death cam. Yes, this is true. If you die to this item, you instantly think it's a sniper, but then when it zooms in, it's a spy, and you're like, excuse me? There's a spy on China? But they sometimes see it more often than we'd like a spy with a revolver. Yes. Goal. Reduce the effective combat range to something more reasonable that and expected with spy. I am so happy because at higher levels, especially once you get into like the higher echelons of silver and gold and plat, you joke, oh, their spy is a second sniper. They don't even go for backstabs because you can either get like one backstab every, 5 minutes because people are actually spy checking, or you can just do 102 damage every 2.5 seconds. Like, this item is just dumb. Changes. First shots are no longer. Ooh. First shots are no longer perfectly accurate. That's huge. That is a very, 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 very big change because basically what you do, how you use revolvers, and this is all revolvers, it's not necessarily only the ambassador, it's just particularly noticeable with the ambassador, is that the first shot is always perfectly accurate no matter what. So, and there's a 1.25 second cooldown, so 1.25 second cooldown between to where it becomes perfectly accurate again. So you fire a shot and then you wait just over a second and you fire again. And usually when you're using the stock revolver, you don't do that. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, depending on the fight. But with the ambassador, you always do that. You always wait the 1.25 seconds so you can get the perfect accurate shot. But now the first shots are no longer perfectly accurate, so you can't really like pinpoint with the weapon anymore. Bullet spread is instead reduced by 50%. Okay. That's passable. Okay, no, I'm good with that, actually. Because now it really is like CSGO, where you have to like, you're shooting in an area that is their head instead of specifically shooting their head. This makes headshots less reliable at long range, while still very viable at close to medium range. Yeah, that's excellent. Very good job. Dead Ringer, I don't think, okay, don't kill me, do not hurt me for this, I don't think the Dead Ringer is overpowered. I think it is extremely good, and it is still the best watch, but I don't think it is overpowered. It's still the one I use the most, and I still think it's the best, but it's not broken like a lot of people say. Feigned death is an interesting effect, but a good spy uses it extremely frequently while making it frustrating to play against, reducing the risk of using it nearly constantly. Yes, if you are good at if you are good at spy, not even good at spy, if you are good at TF2 in general, you should basically never die unless you F up. And that's because you know where all the ammo packs are. You should be able to, like, since you can see people's health, you know who's low and who you can kill. Like, when you come out of Feign with your revolver, and then you take their ammo pack. Or if you're harassing an engineer, you break their stuff, you dead ring, pick up some metal, dead ring again, pick up more metal, dead ring a third time, use their dispenser, dead ring a fourth time, shoot them, take their ammo pack, and then run away. And then people type in chat, oh, dead ringer's overpowered. So yeah, it is rather infuriating to play against. So they understand why they're nerfing it, is the point I'm trying to make. Goal, rather than make it less interesting, let's make it more predictable to fight against, okay? By removing methods by which spy can reduce its cooldown. This should create more of a rhythm when fighting against spies using it, and introduce more of a risk to players using it. Okay, I like that. So they're not directly nerfing it. Well, I guess they are, but they're trying. If I'm understanding this paragraph correctly, they're trying to make it so if you are a good player with good game sense, you should be able to say, spy time, okay. Dead ringer, oh, there he is. That's what I'm getting out of this paragraph. I haven't read the changes yet. Changes. Ammo kits disappear. No longer... Ammo kits and dispensers no longer refill this cloak spy meter. Oh. Oh. Well, remember that thing that I, like, 2 minutes ago I was saying about how you can kill an engineer and, like, dead ring 4 times in a row? Well, you can't do that anymore. Okay, that's a gigantic nerf. It's not unusable, but it took a blow. It is not a helping weapon right now. Your eternal reward. This is the least used spy knife. Technically, the reskin, but anyway. With the silent kill and rapid disguise on kill are good, the downside to this knife is extreme. Yes. The only reason... I remember back when I started playing TF2 in 2011, so early 2012, 2011, late 2011, this was the best knife. And not because of the knife, it was because of the dead ringer. Not because of the dead ringer, it was because of the Saharan spy. And the Saharan spy is basically made decloak completely silent, while also increasing the amount of decloak time, or the fade delay into cloaking. But the dead ringer is extremely loud and is has instant decloak, or it cloaks instantly rather, because it's when you take damage. So it completely nullified those effects, its downsides. So then you could backstab somebody and then not die, and then it was the old dead ringer, so you took 90% less damage. So with a little bit of patience and a bit of, like, good positioning, you would never die on spy. It was impossible to kill you because they couldn't hear you, they couldn't see you, they couldn't kill you because of the resistances. So it was actually one of the most overpowered things in the game to date. And then when they removed item sets from the game, this item became useless. It was a joke. Like, it is now a joke item. So yes, what they are saying is true. This item is the least used for a reason, because the only reason it was good was because of the set, and the set no longer exists. Whew. Changes. Removed cannot disguise penalty. Okay, just that on its own makes the item usable. Added, non-kill disguise required and consume a full cloak meter. Hold on, my reading comprehension skills are lacking. Non-kill disguises require and consume a full cloak meter. So you need a full tank of cloak to kill somebody while not disguised. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I get it. If you're disguising without killing someone. So you're just reaching into your cigarette pack or whatever it is and picking a disguise. That takes a full tank of cloak. But if you backstab somebody and take their disguise, that's free. Cloak drain rate. Increased cloak drain rate by 50%. Okay, that's fair. This might be usable now. This item might actually be usable. Because I could totally see, you know, being able to, like, backstab people and, oh, you need to disguise, and then you just wait a few seconds. Maybe you're using a camp and dagger, because I like to use a camp and dagger with this item. And then, you know, backstab people. Okay, no, this is workable. This is very workable now. Like, I can see how this works. The Scout. This is what everybody has been waiting for I want to say years at this point. But nerfs to the Scout. I don't know if they're all going to be nerfs, but I am assuming they will be. And let's dive right in. The Sandman. The feedback on this weapon has been fairly consistent for a while. Yeah. Players really hate losing the ability to fight back. Yes, stuns and FPSs turns out to not be good. Compounding this, the ball has to travel really far in order to disarm players. Being hit at long range, more often than not, ends up feeling random rather than skill-based. I'm not even going to say it. Changes. Long-range ball impacts no longer remove the victim's ability to fire their weapons, but the victim is slowed. Okay. So they're doing the Dota 2 thing, where they're just taking a disable and turning it into a weaker form of that disable. So I remember way back when Wisp was the best hero in Dota, the tether stun was a stun, but then they're like, you know what, maybe this is too good, so they just made it a 100% slow. So you can still, like, use spells and fight back and blink away, but it's no longer a hard disable. And that's what I think they're doing here. They're just turning the stun into a slow, which is perfectly fine. I think that's great, because people are still going to complain about this item because people get really freaking emotional when you mess with their movement in this game, and people will complain anyway. But you know what? I think this is a good change. We're updating achievements still. Okay. Max range balls now do 50% increased damage from a base of 15. Okay. Or 45 if it's a crit. The flight time required the max effect is reduced by 20%. Okay, so they're just reworking how the ball mechanics work. Ball regeneration reduced to 10 seconds from 15. Okay. So long range balls do more damage. They slow you instead of stunning you. And the flight distance to do a max stun or max slow is 20% less now. And the balls come more often. So they didn't actually change the weapon all that much. They just removed the irritation. If anything, they've made it more irritating by making it have a shorter cooldown. But we'll see. I used to use the Sandman all the freaking time. Now I don't because I like the atomizer more. But I'd be interested to see how these changes work out. Bonk, Atomic Punch. This weapon is designed to allow Scout to pierce closely contested areas. While it does this quite well, it doesn't require enough skill to carry much of a downside. This is true, actually, because any idiot can drink Bonk and just run. So it takes next to no skill to execute, so making it slightly more skill-based would be an interesting, not an interesting change, but a good change. Changes. Apply slow effects to the players after phasing off, based on the amount of damage they've absorbed. Okay, from 25% slow at low damage to a 65 at 200%. Oh, a 200 plus damage. Okay, so so now you have an incentive to dodge while using Bonk. instead of just running it sentries. Okay, that's cool. That's 5 seconds from 8. So it's no longer a free overcharge every 15 seconds or whatever it was. Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol. This weapon used to be my favorite scout item in the game. Then they nerfed it, and then it was garbage, and then I stopped using it. This weapon is one of the lower owned equipped items in the game for very good reason. Looking at current design, I'm not even using this, so I'm just gonna close that. Looking at the current design, it seems that not taking fall damage ranks pretty low on the value of for a scout, and a flat 20% damage penalty taken is the kiss of death for low health class. Yes, because yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even remember what the item did. I hadn't used it in so long. I know the old one gave you more health, and that was good, and you took fire damage. I guess the old one or the new one was like no fall damage and 20% more damage, or 20% more incoming damage, and you heal yourself or something. It was really, really bad. The point is that item was garbage post nerf. Goal: make the weapon less of a liability, as it is a get health quick tool with decent burst and expansive at an expensive total damage. Okay. New design: 15% firing speed. Okay. Up to 7 HP. Up to 7 HP per hit from 5. Clip. Huh. That's usable. That's probably better than the stock pistol. Then again, a lot of things are better than the stock pistol. Yeah, I'll try using that. That's pretty okay. The critical, the most overpowered weapon in the game. The last changes to this item was adding the Mark for Death effect when it ended. This is okay, but it forces a scout out after a little while, but it didn't add any risk in the moment. Yes. So basically the idea is like, oh, if you don't kill everybody, you get marked for death and you'll probably die. But the problem is you still kill everybody because you have mini crits as a scout and extra movement speed. So they're trying to make it more risky while you're using it instead of after it ends. Goal: add more decision through and when where to activate it, so it to activate it and how to manage the risk and reward of the effects. Okay. Added: each attack while active adds Mark for Death debuff for 5 seconds. Does not stack. Okay, so every time you attack, you mark yourself for death for 5 seconds. And shooting again resets the timer. Mark for death when it expires. Removed movement speed bonus. Remove damage penalty. Okay, so it's just the Mark for Death and it's just the mini crits. So normal BS movement speed, no 10% damage that makes zero difference 99% of the time. So it's just, I have mini crits now. If I fire my gun, I take mini crits. That's fine. It kind of reminds me of the old Criticola, because on release it was just, I do mini crits, I take mini crits. Now it's, I do mini crits, when I attack I take mini crits. So it's interesting. And now if you attack in the very last second of its duration, you'll still have the Mark for Death for you. So this is, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's definitely way worse than it was. So this weapon, I would definitely say, has been nerfed. Whether it's nerfed enough, we'll have to see. But it will, jury's still out. I think it's way worse now, and probably not worth using most of the time. But I don't want to actually say that out loud because I don't want to be wrong. So we'll see. I think it is definitely worse than it was. This item is not happy. Let's put it that way. Atomizer. I don't know if it's the best scout weapon because that's critical. Critical is number 0 and this is number 1. Let's go with that. The triple jump as a passive is too strong. You think? Yes, Valve. It is too strong. When it makes combat against the scout unpredictable because opponents don't see the bat and therefore have a hard time anticipating the scout's capabilities. I hadn't even ever thought about that. Like, you can't actually see when he's using it, so you don't know if he's gonna triple jump. Yeah, this item is actually so stupid. Until late in the encounter. It also makes the scout very strong against explosive classes. Yeah, just a bit, due to the combination of extreme mobility and high close range damage. Goal: require the scout to deploy the bat and take advantage of the extra jump, which also is a signal to the other players that you can perform the jump at all, and reduce the bat's negatives to compensate. Okay. Triple jump is now only possible when the bat is deployed. How it should have been in the goddamn first place. Removed self-inflicted damage when triple jumping. Okay. So no more triple jumping at 7 health that kills you. Removed attack speed penalty. Not that that matters. Added melee attacks done while airborne mini crit. That's good. Added 50% deploy time penalty to prevent quick switch bypass. Okay. Reduced damage penalty versus players to 15% from 20. Oh. Never mind. This is meaningless. So... it's still a utility item. Well, I don't know how much 50% is. That sounds like a lot. So I want to say this item is dumpstered, but at the same time, I think 3 jumps are pretty strong. So you can like switch to it. Now the problem is you can't use it with the winger anymore because you have to have. So you have to jump twice with the winger and then switch to your atomizer and then triple jump. I want to say this item is dumpstered and close to unusable, but I'll have to use it first to be absolutely sure. But my gut is telling me this item is bad now. Flying guillotine. This weapon is capable. This item is so stupid because it's 50 damage, 90 including bleed, with technically infinite range and a 6-second cooldown. Like it's better than like every single pistol. It's better than most secondaries. It's better than a shotgun. Like it's one of the best items in the game, and I don't know why it's taking this long to be nerfed. But I abuse this thing a lot in like pugs because it's allowed in Highlander. It's not allowed in 6s, and thank God it isn't. But like in HL pugs, this thing is so much fun to use. This weapon is capable of high burst damage under what sometimes seems like random conditions, such as mini crits at long range, full crits when a target is slowed. Yeah, that's another thing. Like if your soldier, or not your soldier, if your heavy is using Natasha, that slow from the Natasha counts as a crit. Or counts as a stun. So then you throw the cleaver, and it does 150 damage, and you can just like, if the medic is being pecked for like 2 damage across the map by a Natasha heavy, you can throw the cleaver at them, and it'll kill them instantly. Like this item is so dumb. Also, I think air blast counts as well. So if somebody air blasts somebody into a corner, and then you throw a knife at them, they die instantly. It's actually one of the stupidest things I've ever freaking seen. Oh yeah, and apparently the ghost stun counts as well. Goal: remove the feeling of randomness and reward accuracy. Changes: uh, crits versus stun players. Removed mini crits at long range. Added long range hits reduce damage by 1.5 seconds. Distance considered long range by half of the previous value when determined of mini crits. So actually, this actually may come into play because the long distance like mini crit thing never really came into play unless you were playing on like either Viaduct or what's that one map called, Lakeside, where you can actually like figure out the angles and you could hit somebody because they're always going to be rolling out the same way. So this almost never came into play. But now that it's reduced to half of that distance, I can totally see the long range like damage being like reduction actually coming into play because they removed the mini crits. But yeah, this is it's not dumpstered, but it like they also nerfed a lot of the things that made the item stupid, like the Natasha stun, like the air blast thing. So I'm gonna keep using this item. Jesus. Soldier, the base jumper. Players often complain that the base jumper is frustrating to fight against because the target is simply too hard to hit. This mostly due to combinations of being able to deploy and retract it at will and the amount of steering control that they have, which makes them too unpredictable. Okay, if you are not good at TF2, like if you only play in pubs and you've never played competitively and you probably don't understand what this paragraph is trying to say. The base jumper, okay, in TF2 there's a mechanic called air strafing where if you're in the air, you can like kind of change directions and kind of like spin circle. Like in theory, you could like spin a circle, like if you're falling far enough, and like just while in the air, and it's a very key mechanic to rocket jumping and playing scout and a whole like various other things. But and generally that takes kind of it's skill based. You have to like move your mouse and press the keys correctly, and you can like dodge emitter and all that stuff. But with the base jumper, it made it so freaking easy to air strafe out of the way. Even so, somebody with a base jumper could rocket jump and then just start spinning in circles, and you can't hit them. And then even when you think that you're predicting their movements correctly, they can press spacebar, drop themselves, and then stop themselves again. And the item, like if you were good at using this item, you were completely unhittable in the air. So this is more of a nerf for players at a at higher skill levels. It probably won't change anything at lower skill, which is good, because the item isn't very good if you're bad. But if you're good, the item is incredible. Okay, changes. Reduce the amount of air control while deployed by 50%, and that's what I was talking about. You can't now you can when you're air strafing, instead of it just being low gravity air strafing, now it's actually reduced the amount you can turn essentially. Remove the ability to redeploy once retracted. Okay, yes. And that's the other thing that I was talking about. People could just spam the spacebar and like make themselves more difficult to hit. So the item has been completely nerfed at higher skill levels. Again, it doesn't change anything at low skill levels or the way I use it because I'm not good at air strafing. But this is definitely a good change. The man treads. I forgot this item existed. The second least used item in the game. I really want to know what the least is if this isn't it. The aerial stomp mini game is difficult, and the gunboats are superior in most scenarios. Yeah. Changes. 75% push force reduced. Reduction now includes air blast. Huh. So, does this mean if I'm playing soldier and I have the man treads, and there's a pyro on last, on Badlands last, and I Uber from upper lobby. He can't just air blast me onto the ground anymore. I'm gonna try these things out. This is this is gonna be the first thing I try using when the update hits, because this is ridiculous. I just want to know what that looks like. Just like 200%. Like, I'm just imagining a soldier like rocket jumping and then doing circles in the air and then like landing. that Okay, this item might actually just be awesome now. I'm gonna try this out. This is top. This right here, this one line is top. I want to see top 3 changes I've ever seen in the game. Period. This I need to see this happen. Oh my god, that sounds so freaking awesome. This is pretty good too because you can't get air blast while you're trying to push last. But this 200% air control. uh, does that apply when you're just jumping, like hopping around, and you're not rocket jump? I need to see this. This sounds so freaking epic. Okay, enough gushing. Moving on. Sniper, the Darwin's Danger Shield, the top 3 dumbest items in the game. Snipers using this item had an advantage against snipers who weren't. In other news, the sky is blue. As a result, players felt like they were required to equip it if the others, in order to be competitive. Yes, and this is why the item is banned in basically every league, because if you are a sniper using this weapon, you are forcing the enemy sniper to use this weapon because they will always win the sniper fight, no matter what. So, yes. Goal. Remove the increased survivability against snipers, which invalidates its existence. The existing design. So, new design. Counter range burn attacks, e.e. flares, and strengthen melee fight. What? Hold on. Counter range burn attacks, e.g. flares, and strengthen melee fights versus pyros. So, let me get this straight. So it doesn't give the health anymore. So you don't have the stupid buff, and it doesn't have the bullet resistance. Now it's purely for fighting pyros? What? So you don't take fire damage. So you can't just scorch shot somebody who's using the danger suit. And you have 50% more fire resist. Okay, I'm pretty sure this item is dumpstered now. Because Girardi does both of these things, but yeah, this item's dumpstered. GG, DDS is dead. Razorback. Goal, reduce the effectiveness when pocketed. Snipers. Okay, if you play in pubs, you probably don't know. Okay, so the Razorback in pubs is a joke item, right? Because the spy will always just shoot you. But when you're playing with a team, in Highlander specifically, not so much in sixes, but in Highlander there's one of each class. And one of each class means there's a medic. And one of each class means there's a pyro. And one of each class means there's an NG. So you can always count on those classes being around you if you're playing sniper. So if you're playing sniper, you just yell at your medic, hey, med, buff me, and you get 185. A spy can't kill you in 3 shots if you have 185. A spy can't also kill you if there is a sentry behind you, because as soon as he shoots, the sentry's going to kill him. And there's probably also a pyro watching him, and so on and so forth. You basically become unkillable if you're using the Razorback against a spot. So this item was kind of dumb in Highlander. So yeah, so reduce the effectiveness when pocketed in stalemates slash standoffs. The primary happens to be this primary happens in organized slash competitive play. Yes, that's exactly what I was saying. Added changes: 100% less overheal, and shield regenerates after 30 seconds. I'm pretty sure they just copy pasted this from a Reddit comment I saw a while back. Yeah. I don't know if this item is dumpstered, but it's definitely way worse because you don't get overhealed, but you also are still getting healed. So if a revolver does, let's say, 55 damage, can you still three-shot people? Because a medigun heals at 24 HPS. If they kill you in less than a second, yeah, I think you can still three-shot the sniper, but you can't miss. But you'll probably die as soon as you reveal yourself anyway. Good change. I'll go with that. Vitasaw. This item is by far the most imbalanced item for medic in the game because it had the same problem that the old Danger Shield had, and that's that if you are a medic and you're using it, if you die, even at like 21%, you will retain 20% Uber. So you will always have more Uber than the opposing medic. Like if both medics die, the one with the Vitasaur respawns with more. So then they have advantage, and then they use on you, and then you die. Now, with the Vitasaur, that's dumb because any mechanic that revolves around death being a reward is stupid. So then both medics would have to run it, and it's just a hassle. So Ubercharge on death is too valuable of an effect to be passive. Goal: change this weapon in a way that requires skill and risk in order to gain this effect. Okay. Changes. Added organs collected concept. You know, you hit someone with a saw and it pops a vital organ, which is then taken and hold. Okay. Each hit with the Vitasaw harvests the victim's organs, shown on the HUD. What? On death. Perceive 15% overcharge per organ harvested. Or preserve, excuse me. Effect caps at 60%. Okay, so they buffed it. No, but you have to punch people. I'm gonna have to play with this before I make a judgment call, but my gut is telling me it's better. But saws, like Uber saws, gives you 25. So then you can pop earlier. Does it still have the minus 10 health? I guess so. Okay, I'm gonna have to play with this before I make a judgment call, but I want to say that it's better than the old one, and possibly better than the Ubersaw, but it already was. Whatever. I'll have to play with this. Crusader's crossbow. Okay, I'm just gonna say it right now. The Crusader's crossbow is the best item in the game. Period. It is the best. Because it gives the medic's core, like, concept even, like, it strengthens his utility and makes him better at his job. And, like, like, even at point blank range, if you're only healing somebody for 75, it's still, like, has higher HPS than the medigun for 3 seconds. So even if you miss the crossbow, reload, and then shoot again, it is still faster and only heal them 75, it is still faster than using your medigun. So this item is the best item in the game, in my opinion. And being able to heal people at long range, like saving people in fights. I remember I was playing uh, a pug once, and this pyro like was fighting 3 people, and I just kept arrowing him over and over again, and he killed all 3. So this item is insane. I think one like the best teams in Invite, they'll have their soldiers or suicide in, and just have their medic arrow them while they're fighting people. And this item is very, very, very skill based, but also if you're good, it just becomes absolutely insane. And I love this thing to death. It is my probably my favorite item in the game other than the Machina. And yeah, I adore this thing, and I knew this day was coming. It was gonna get nerfed eventually, but here we go. Bolt healing is very high and significantly out heals the minigun when targets are in combat. Yes. This might be okay given the trades off risk versus reward at range of range shooting, hitting the opponent, hitting and the opportunity cost, no overheal. However, it is also faster way of building overcharge. This is also true because when you hit somebody, it gives you overcharge, and if they're far away and like you have 2 scouts hitting themselves and you keep arrowing them off cooldown, like you heal it in 17 seconds. But also, if you're a bot and you have a soldier next to you, you can shoot an arrow, heal somebody, and then switch your gun, like crossbow, get an arrow and heal. Like, if you're just doing the arrow thing, like it builds Uber in 17 seconds. If you're doing the arrow thing and healing because you're a bot, you can do it in 14 seconds or whatever. I remember somebody did the math on it. It builds Uber faster, is the point I'm trying to get to. Under the right conditions, yes. E.g., corner damage, farming, medics behind a corner. Okay. Changes. Overcharge gain rate reduced in the way that the medigun's healing, and therefore recharge. Overcharge gain rate reduced in the same way that the medigun's healing. Oh. And therefore overcharge build rate is based on the last time the target was in combat. Ah. This is a very good change. Okay. This is one of the most important mechanics in the game, and it is explained nowhere. There is not a single line of text in the entire game. I have searched just to do a proof by contradiction. There nowhere is this mechanic explained, and that's crit heals. Essentially, if a target has taken damage in the past 10 seconds, you heal them at 24 healing per second, or HPS, as opposed to DPS damage per second. Now, if they are out of the fight and haven't been fighting for 11 seconds, you heal them faster. And 12 seconds, even faster. And 13 seconds, even faster, all the way up to 15 seconds. And at 15 seconds, you heal 3 times faster. And maybe you've seen this before if you've ever played Medic, that you see a sniper, and you're like, oh, a sniper, I'll just heal them for a quick second. And then their health just goes on, vroom. Well, that's because they're probably at crit heals. And this, managing crit heals and like being out of damage and not taking suppressive fire and so on and so forth, that's a huge part of competitive play, because the faster you get healed and the faster you get buffed, it reduces the downtime in which you're not fighting. So being able to heal people faster is more important. Now, the reason I'm explaining this is because this plays into how this nerf works. That basically, at first you could shoot an arrow and it would give you Uber. But now it is reduced, the Uber you gain is reduced by the amount of crit heals they don't have, if that makes sense. So it'll only heal a third or rather, it'll only give you a third uber charge if they've taken damage in the past 10 seconds, which means you can still save people who are fighting, it just won't build your uber as quickly. I like this change, and I'm happy they didn't dumpster my favorite item. This is still probably the best item in the game because of its skill index, and I am very happy they didn't dumpster it. That is all. Can you tell I main medic? Okay. Heavy. All miniguns. Ooh, here we go. Wait, they didn't talk about pyro. Yeah, that's... They didn't talk about pyro. Or demo man. Oh well. All miniguns. Changes. 1 second damage and accuracy penalty now allows... Hold on. 1 second damage, accuracy... Let's start... I'm gonna edit this out. Heavy. All miniguns. Okay, changes. The 1 second damage and accuracy penalty now applies to the first second of spun up time, whether or not the heavy is firing. Previously, 1 second damage penalty would only be removed after 1 second of firing. Okay, so for the uninformed, basically how heavy miniguns work is when you spin up your minigun and you start firing, it doesn't do the maximum damage immediately. It's also rather inaccurate. So, and you need to be firing for a full second to get that damage off. To get full damage and full accuracy. That was stupid, so they changed it. Oh, okay. Now you can rev up, and the accuracy will reduce, but the damage will not. Now, as you spin up, both the damage and the accuracy get reduced. So now you can actually like spin up around corners and all that. So yeah, that's a good change, because before people would say you just don't stop shooting on your heavy so you don't reset your damage. But now you can just spin up and play the game normally. Accuracy and damage penalties now reset when the heavy spins down, rather when the heavy stops firing. That's what I was talking about. That plat heavies would just tell you, particularly Kresnik Bobby. He'd say, just keep shooting your gun. Don't stop shooting. Just get a dispenser, pick up ammo packs, just keep shooting so it doesn't reset your the timer on the accuracy and damage. Now you don't have to worry about that. Now you can just spin up and play like a normal human being. This means you can stay spun up for 1 second and fire bursts. Yeah, that's important. And damage accuracy will remain at 100%. Yes, that is a very important change. The gloves of running urgently. Speed, lack thereof, is used to balance the heavy's high health. Overheal and damage output, while are still believed to be okay, to have a class of items that increase the heavy's movement speed, players have been able to easily mitigate the existing negatives. So basically what they're saying is the only thing that keeps heavy balanced is his movement speed. So removing the penalty of movement speed is stupid. Changes. Added max health is drained while the item is active. -10 per second. And regenerates while holstered. Now, if you played the game prior to 2013, this will sound very familiar to you, and that's because in 2013 they reworked the GRUs to give you mini crits. But how it used to work is it drained your health by 6 every second, and people would just switch to the GRUs, jump, and then switch back. Or if you were being pocketed, you just have your GRUs out all the time. And this was kind of dumb. So then they changed it to be mini crits. So then you couldn't have the GRUs and be pocketed and be invincible essentially, and you couldn't like peek corners and all that. And so they're kind of bringing back that the old item with a bonus, and it regenerates your health while holstered. So now you don't have to eat sandwiches in front of your medic. Health regenerates only when the amount drained while active minus the damage taken during that time. Okay. At the time, the sandwich used to work differently as well. So basically, you could eat your own sandwiches instead of like refilling your sandwich meter. So basically, what people do was they would play what what they called the roaming heavy, and basically they'd use the GRUs that drained your health, the sandwich, which you can drop and pick up for a medium health pick, and the old Tommy's which spun up faster. It was like 40% faster. It was ridiculous. So people would use the GRUs to sneak behind enemy lines, eat a sandwich real quick, and then mow people down with the Tommy's. And it was rather effective, very strong. But every aspect of that playstyle got nerfed. They nerfed the Tommy's, they changed the sandwich, and they reworked the GRUs. So that style of heavy is dead. It might actually come back now because that whole thing of eating your sandwich to replenish the health that you've lost from using the GRUs is now back as part of the GRUs, because you regenerate health that you've lost from moving at a higher speed. So you can now do what I was saying. You run behind with the GRUs, and you've lost a lot of health, but then you holster them away. Just wait a few seconds to heal yourself off, and then you can start fighting. Each time the gloves are deployed, the drain rate is accelerated for a brief period. Okay, not sure what that means, but I'll remove the mark for death. Remove damage penalty. The damage penalty doesn't make a difference, but remove the mark. Okay, if you can't tell, I really like this change. They have brought roaming heavy back, and I might actually find it fun to play now because I freaking hate playing heavy. But yeah, I am totally on board with these changes. Totally on board. Eviction notice. Changes. Max health drained while the item is active. 5%. So it's like a mini GRU. I mean, it already was a mini GRU, but, you know. And health regenerated while holster. Health will regenerate only the amount drained while active, minus damage taken away during that time. So it really is just a lesser version of the GRU? What? So what's the difference in this item and this item? This drains more health and gives you more movement speed. This gives more movement speed and drains less health. They are the same goddamn item. This item is actually completely obsolete because this one exists. Wait, no. Hold on. Can you still punch people and get movement speed? I don't see it mentioned anywhere on here, so maybe you can still whip yourself. Huh, that's actually interesting. Okay, this is an interesting. These are essentially the same item now, but this one gives you less movement speed unless you punch someone, and then you get the whip. Or the whip movement speed. Okay. I'm down with that. Fists of Steel. The downside of increased melee damage doesn't ever come into play. When it counts, yeah. Holding the choke of a point or an objective. Yeah, so basically the downside to the Fists of Steel is you take more damage when you have your melee out. So if you're fighting a heavy one-on-one and they have the Fists of Steel, you just switch to your melee and you punch them and they die. But that's not how people use the Fist of Steel. How they use the Fist of Steel is they pull it out while pushing the car or capping a point, and they'll just sit there while getting healed or arrowed by their medic, and basically you're fighting a statue. Like it doesn't die. Or you're in a choke just tanking spam, and it's not like somebody's gonna run, like, hold on guys, I'm gonna run in and melee that person sitting in the choke, even though his Delman and Soldier and Pyro and Sniper are all behind him, and I'm probably gonna die before I even get within like 10 meters of him. So this downside was a joke and almost never came into play when it matters, like they say here. So I'm very curious as what they're going to do to it. And when the medic is attached, resulting in pull effect unreasonably large. Okay. Changes. Added 40% overheal reduction while active. Added 40% healing penalty while active. Oh boy. Those are some hard-hitting nerfs. The item is much weaker. I don't know if it's dumpstered, but it is definitely way worse and probably not worth using over this thing now. I'm gonna go with it's dumpstered, yeah. Fist of Steel dumpstered. Yep, definitely. Rescue Ranger. The ability to repair buildings safely from range without using metal is too powerful. Combine this with the ability to instantly teleport your buildings from far away, which itself is interesting and useful enough in many circumstances, and you may end up with a package that is very strong. Yes, the Rescue Ranger is the best engineer item. Period. Changes. Ranged repairs now consume metal at 4 to 1 health to metal ratio, e.g. repairing 15 damage or 60 damage costs 15 metal. Okay. That's good, because a lot of people, myself included, would simply, like, even at close range, just, since it doesn't consume metal, they'll just repair their building with their Rescue Ranger and not their wrench, because it doesn't use metal. So, yeah, this is a good change. It's the nerf the item deserved. It's still the best item, and I'm still gonna keep using it. But this is definitely a nerf that's gonna be noticeable later down the line. So yeah, that's my that's my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed.